So my Hisense U7G finally came back in, and we're now starting the re-review slash retesting to make sure that the Hisense that I had before, if any of the issues I saw was because it was dropped by the carrier and the box was damaged and that whole thing. So Hisense has sent out another unit, and we are, again, as I was saying, going to be testing that unit. So the first test I wanted to do is one that is kind of near and dear to me, and that's motion. I really value motion in television, so we're going to kick things off with my custom test pattern. Now, for specific, I guess, kind of wording on this, this is designed specifically for 24p through 30p content. It's designed for multiple types of displays, and it's really just to show you guys DSE, chopping, judder, and motion artifacts with motion processing. So the first thing I'm going to do is show it with motion processing off, because I feel like that's going to be the most valuable thing for you to see right now in the early going. And so we're going to run this test right now. All right, so we're going to hit play. And with motion processing off, some of the things that I notice is it's a bit juddery. I'm going to have to lower down my ISO a little bit because I am noticing I do have a bit in the way of some zebras. We don't want that. We want you guys to be able to see everything without any over brightening. So again, it's a bit on the juddery side of things. I do notice like there is some stuttering and some chopping. What I'll do is I'll try to even zoom in a little further on the screen here so you can maybe see a little bit better, right? And as it kind of cycles through, you can see that there is some judder, and it's pretty pronounced. It's pretty clear. Not the smoothest thing I've ever seen, and I'm also noticing that I do see a bit of DSE or dirty screen effect in between the actual frames themselves. So that's something that is definitely going to be felt, and that was kind of my experience on the last Hisense. So I still feel like motion is something that they can work on and should work on for sure, because it's not quite as smooth. But to be fair, this is with motion processing off. Most TVs aren't very smooth with that off anyway. That's why I do not understand purists that tell you to turn all your motion processing off to get what they call natural look. My screen is literally crawling in judder and jitter right now, and it is unbearable, and it's like this on truthfully every TV from the most flagship Sonys right here to our Hisense that we have right now that we're reviewing. So now we're gonna go ahead and enable motion processing and see if we don't see a different result. Now, to show you guys the specific motion processing that I select, that I'm choosing to pull off this result, I am in custom, and then I basically just max out judder reduction and blur reduction to get the most amount of motion smoothing. I'll zoom out here so you guys can see all of that. There you go, you guys can see motion smoothing's where it needs to be, and I am again using the custom preset. So for anybody wondering, that's what I'm doing to pull this off. Now, if we go ahead and hit play, we're going to cycle through that again, but this time with motion processing on, and it is substantially smoother than what we had before. Albeit I do notice that there is some dirty screen effect that pops up in the white squares, so you will have dirty screen effect in real world content. Now, the slower panning shots, I know I have a pinned comment on this particular video. If you want to use this video, look in the testing material playlist. It will be there, and you'll be able to replicate this test. But essentially, this is going to replicate the slower panning shots that we see in film, games, movies, when it's slow, 24p, 30 FPS, and there's panning slowly. And then when we do the faster ramps, we're getting towards the more action-involved scenes to where things are moving around a lot faster. Now, it's not as fast as I could have made it go. I'm trying to make this pretty, reasonable for most televisions. So I'm trying to kind of balance it out for all displays. So let me know how your display does if you do end up using this test pattern. But essentially, the Hisense U7G is performing admirably. It's doing an exceptional job at keeping really smooth. But again, I am noticing on this particular unit, there is a bit of dirty screen effect that is noticeable as the white and black squares intersect with one another really fast. You are going to see that. And now, I don't know if that'll pick up on this particular recording, but I can tell you that it is something that I do see here. So I did kind of want to report that for you guys. In a nutshell, though, I think it does a really good job. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and I'll zoom back out so we can see everything as it is. And there you go. The entire screen as it is. And I think, again, Hisense is doing a pretty good job of making sure things stay smooth and fluid. And I think, ultimately speaking, if you're talking about motion, This isn't. It's not a bad TV for motion. It's average, I would say. It's nothing game changing. But I feel like if they could get back to where they were with the Hisense, H9F series of televisions, Hisense really could be leading the market right now. Especially since they've already had a good TV that performed really well in that category. This is one of their weaker points in the fact that they are going backwards with motion. They should be going forward. So that's one of the critiques that I would give out to maybe help them improve on future models, or maybe through updates, because I feel like they can definitely get there. Again, not to say motion is bad. Motion is smooth enough, and most people won't really have a problem at all with the motion that I'm seeing here. But again, if you do roll dirty screen effect on your particular unit, make sure that you exchange it out, because my last unit that I had didn't have dirty screen effect, and now this one does. So these TVs do experience certain, I guess, uniformity issues on an LED level from unit to unit. And that's just how all LED VA type panels and IPS panels in general are. So all things considered, the verdict for this motion is going to be a 7 out of a 10. It has some DSC, it has some judder, and it's not entirely the smoothest thing I've ever seen. But that being said, it's far from being terrible. And so ultimately speaking, I think it's passable. I think most people will be happy with it, but that's the review.